Hi folks, my name is Jim Campbell. I am the Editor-in-Chief and CEO of the Aero-News Network. I'm also the author of the Sport Plane Resource Guide and a number of books, 18 in all, that have appeared over the last 30 years. And I want to talk to you about a project that I've been intending to do for decades that has excited me since I was all of 15 years old, because it's based on something that inspired me greatly. Over 40 years ago, I was a freshman in high school. I was newly soloed in a glider, a Schweitzer 233 out of Blairstown, New Jersey. Dead of winter, no less. Not the greatest time for soaring, but thankfully we had a ridge out there that allowed us to do a couple of flights that were better than the usual sled runs. And thankfully my first solo glider flight was almost a half-hour long. I was very proud of it. But I knew there was more to aviation than gliders. I'd already taken some powered lessons, but there were all these other interesting things. I'd read Popular Mechanics and seen the Benson gyroplane, and I'd seen a number of things. But I didn't have all the information at my disposal that I wanted to find out more about this and a number of activities that I knew were going to be a part of my lifetime. I mean, I was inspired enough early on in my writing career to start at the beginning and hopefully to inspire others by writing my first book, which was The Flyer's Guide to Ultralights. This book ultimately brought a lot of people into the ultralight movement and the most affordable aspect of aviation. But it was the book that I had read when I was 15 years old that really excited me. It was something that was just absolutely extraordinary. Great book, written by Lynn Emmerich. Lynn was a parachutist and glider pilot and did a number of things throughout his life. But Sky Sports was amazing because it gave a solid primer, details on 5 amazing sports. He covered skydiving, he covered soaring, he covered ballooning, he covered general aviation, and he covered gyroplanes. But in the back of my mind, I knew that there was room for another book, a more modern book that covered even more than the 5 sport aviation subjects that Lynn covered. During a conversation I had with him before he passed away some years ago, he mentioned that one of the joys of his life was hearing from all the people he had inspired to take on a different aspect of aviation, that gyros were cool, or ballooning sounded ethereal, or gliders just sounded amazing, or gave him enough information that, hey, I really can be a private pilot. All these things added up to an incredible contribution that Lynn made through his books, especially the books that appeared in places like, the Indian Hills High School Library, where the copy that was there when I first spied it, well, it kind of disappeared. It was replaced eventually, but it was not seen for years. It was one of the greatest tools I had as a young aviator to take a look at everything and say, yeah, I can do this. So I'd like to dedicate my next biggest project to a book that will take me through my 25th book by the time I get through this current series. And I'm going to call it Aero-Sports, in part homage to what Lynn did, as well as in memory of one of the greatest sport aviators I ever knew, a fellow by the name of Jimmy Mosier, who ran the AeroSport FBO in St. Augustine, Florida, and just lived the sport aviation life better than anybody I've ever known. This book will be in keeping with modern times, first published as an ebook in 3 different volumes because, well, we've got a lot to cover. We're covering aerobatics, amateur-built experimentals, ballooning, hang gliding, LSAs, model rocketry, parachuting, paragliding, paramotoring, powered parachuting, private pilots. We're looking at radio-controlled model aircraft, rotorcraft, soaring, and ultralights. And these books are going to be very well detailed. We're looking to really do a great job of giving people a primer. It'll start with a narrative of what the sport's about, the skill sets involved in what it requires to undertake these things, the training, educational progression necessary to learn them, the equipment involved, licensing and regulatory issues, and of course costs. Everybody wants to know how much. The sport aviation community and organizations that are built around those particular areas, affiliated activities and events, safety and how to stay safe when you're undertaking all of these activities, as well as terms, diagrams, glossaries, and resources that will be necessary for somebody who really wants to take on a certain aspect of sport aviation and learn what's necessary to go on out and get trained and expertise for themselves. We're very excited about the project. As I said, it will come out in 3 volumes. The first will come out later on this year and be released in 2 to 3 month segments thereafter. There will be a print edition when the book is completely done, because we do want to put this book in libraries, even if I do so at my own expense, because in libraries, well, you sell an ebook or you sell a book to somebody, and that's great because you get a set of eyeballs and a reader. You sell a book to a library, you got a lot of eyeballs, a lot of readers, and you inspire a whole community. So we're excited to work on this, both from a standpoint of a straight business project, i.e. great book, great idea. Also from the standpoint that we're going to have so much fun researching and getting caught up. I mean, I've done all these sports for myself, some recently, some not so recently, and I'm in the process of getting back up to speed and making sure I'm up to date on all the technologies. But we're going to have a tremendous amount of fun writing it. We're already having a ball just doing the initial research. And then finally being able to present all of this information to people all over the world, because let's face it, aviation is in a tough period. It's having tough times. It hasn't got the greatest rep it's ever had. And if we can inspire one person to see one of these 15 or 16 subjects that we're going to present and say, oh, wow, yeah, I got to do that, then we've won. Then we've done something amazing. We want to reinvigorate aviation, but we start with sport aviation. We start with the core group. We start with the people who get into aviation because there's something there they might love, that they might be inspired to do for the rest of their lives, that might make their lives greater because they've undertaken an activity that magnifies who and what they are. We're tremendously excited about it, but we'd like to get your participation in several areas. One, tell us what you need to know about these things. We've got a rough idea of what's necessary, but you may have information or questions that we haven't considered before. Let me know. If you think we're not covering a sport or activity, let us know about that too. We've got one or two ideas that may still be included, and that's why the third book is out there. We can always finish up and put it in there when we're done. Also, let everybody know about this book. It's going to be important that we get this in front of as many eyeballs as possible, get in front of as many people as possible, and as a result, regrow, rebuild, and reinvigorate the sport aviation community. We have the opportunity to bring lots of new blood into this business. We have an opportunity to inspire a whole new generation of flyers, new and old, to take on something amazing, whether it be flying a model airplane, whether it be soaring, whether it be trying an ultralight, building your own airplane, whether it be an LSA, you name it, we're going to have it covered. And we'd really like your help and participation to make sure that AeroSports gets as wide a dissemination as possible, is as valuable to you and this community as it can possibly be. And because there'll be ebooks, we'll be able to update them. Because we're going to have sites and so forth to support it, we'll have additional information to follow on even for the print book buyers. And because they're going to be in libraries, we hope more important than anything else that we inspire people from outside this community to give us a chance to take a look at us and go, wow, yeah, that could be me. We hope you'll be inspired by what we're trying to do. We hope you'll participate. And more important than anything else, we hope you'll buy the book and help us try to reinvigorate a section of aviation that we still think is the most exciting pursuit on the face of the planet. For the Aero-News Network, Airborne, Aero-TV, the Sport Plane Resource Guide, and now AeroSports, I'm Jim Campbell. Come join us, folks. The air is fine up there. And I got to tell you, sporty aviation has never been as exciting or as accessible as it is right now. I promise.